Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You have to pledge now all by yourself.
Why? Did you already pledge? Are we on air?
Yeah, we're on air.
I'm sorry.
No, don't worry about it.
Did we already pledge? Where's the
We're all
town
set.
administrator?
We're all set. Are there any board and committee reports? We have no public hearings. We're going to put the town administrator's report at the end because she's at a finance committee meeting. Mike, you're here, right? We have new business, and it's the appointment of Christiana Hunt as a reserve police officer, and she's already a dispatch person, so this fits pretty well. Is that what it is?
Christina is one of our new hires that we hired last year as a reserve dispatcher. She's done a fantastic job on the desk for the last 8 months or so. She's gone through the Reserve Police Academy. She's been field training. She's shown tremendous work ethic and excellent attitude and real excellent aptitude to pick up the police end of things, and that's the direction she wants her career to progress in. And so we respectfully request her appointment as a reserve police officer.
Which is great.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Do I have a second? Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Hi.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. We have a one-day liquor license. It's for the Newbury Elementary School, the PTA silent auction and cocktail party at Governor's Academy. It's Saturday, the 3rd. It's Saturday, March 19, 2016, from 7 to 9 p.m. Is everything in order, Ellen? Everything good?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is anyone here from the PTA?
Perfect timing, I am.
Would you like a little free press so you can get up and tell us a little bit about it?
Oh, sure, thank you.
Oh, sure, I'm all ready. We were just discussing yours and making a motion. We have a motion partway in order, so if you want to tell us a little bit about the night, it'll be picked
Sure.
up on TV.
Okay, great. So my name's Deb Murphy. I'm from the Newbury PTA, and we're having a fundraiser at Governor's Academy on March 19th. We're hoping to have about 100 people and raise some decent money. Over the past year, we've had to cut some things out that we haven't been able to pay for the PTA. We no longer can fund field trips. One of the things from Beth Yando, her goal has to have Chrome carts for the kids so that everybody will have a computer because all of the testing is moving online. So we have a lot of things that we're trying to fund. So we're hoping that this fundraiser will help to support the PTA and their mission.
Very well said and well spoken, and when I saw it, I wondered what a Chrome cart is, and it's probably because I'm gray and I don't know, but what is a Chrome cart?
I'm great too. A Chrome cart is actually, holds, I believe it's 16 Chromebooks. Are you familiar with the Chromebooks? They're little laptops
Okay.
that run on Google's operating system. And each classroom, it's a charging station as well. So the laptops can go on there and it can be charged as it's moving around the classrooms.
Wow.
With the move online for all of the testing, we want to make sure that all the kids have a laptop for the testing. So we're trying to get Chromebooks so that we'll have enough for everybody to have one.
Now, just two questions, and then anyone else, because I seem to be asking a lot of questions, but what grade does that actually kind of start at?
All of the grades.
No kidding. Now, what happens if it's a school that has less income, let's say, an inner city school? Do they have the ability through certain grants from the state of Massachusetts to do the same thing? I mean, is their testing moving online too? And that might be a question that's hard to answer, but.
You know what, I'm assuming that there's the park test and the MCAS, and
Yep.
we're participating now in the park testing, and that's done online. I'm not sure what some of the other schools are doing.
Yep, it's just wild, it's wild. All right, so where were we? We were discussing it, and we
Well, I
had,
had
did we have a,
another-
we
had
have
a
a
motion.
motion in a second?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, what sort of things are you going to be selling at the silent auction? Can you tell us a little more about the event since?
You know what, actually, I don't know exactly what items we have up for auction. Hope you all can come and find out. I know that the PTA has been doing a lot to try and get some good activities for the auction. We wanted to move it off-site to be able to have, we've combined it in past years with other things, and we're trying to really give it enough focus to make some decent money. I'm not
Why,
sure
are you
exactly
thinking
what
a
we
day
have.
at the farm?
Yeah. No, I just thought people would want to know
Yeah, yeah,
what sort of
yeah.
things, try and
I
drum up
mean-
more interest.
And if you need things, there are a lot of people such as myself that has decoys and artwork and teasingly a day at the farm or something, so find out, and maybe we can help in some
Oh,
ways.
that'd be great,
All right.
yeah.
So I didn't mean to throw you under the bus, you know I did.
His
All right.
decoys are very good.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, you know, we do a lot of the in-house enrichments, so that's
Yeah.
one thing that we've been doing to kind of substitute for being able to send the kids out. We'll
All
get
right.
you hooked up with Lisa,
So-
who
so
does all
maybe,
of
and
that.
and if it can't be quite done this year, maybe another time would be great, so.
Yeah, and we want to thank the Cultural Council who helped to fund, we got a grant from the Cultural Council for some Chinese acrobats recently, so we're really happy about that, so that was great.
Very
Super,
good.
Super,
Yeah, it
super,
was
super.
great, and then we're having some BMX demonstrations in the
Wow.
spring, so,
That's cool.
yeah, very cool.
Well, you spoke very well, so we have a
People can make a
motion
lot of money.
and a second, and we've had discussion, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you. We have one-day liquor licenses also, and we have 3 of them for the Byfield Community Arts Center, so it only seems maybe intelligent to take them just by the date and approve them all at once, unless there's one that sticks out and you want to hold that. So we have a Cat in the Cradle on March 12th, we have a March 18th, and we have a local lounge on March 26th. And these are from 7:30 to 10:30, 7:30 to 10:30, and 7 to 10 p.m. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve all.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have a request for public property use, and it is from Margaret Gillis, from the Museum of Old Newbury, to place a banner on the upper green backstop and road signs throughout the town of Newbury from May 30th through...
That's the next one. You're good.
You know what? I feel better, because it's usually me. May 30th to June 13th, 2016, yep. And that's for the 37th Annual Garden Tour to be held on the 11th and the 12th of 2016.
And we'll have the signs down the following day.
Would you like to tell us a little bit more about it, so that,
Yeah, it
like I
goes out
said...
on TV. Everybody
After
can hear.
37
Yeah.
tries, it better be good. We do this every year. It's one of our biggest fundraisers. The next one you have on your list hopefully will be our new big fundraiser.
Yep,
It's all over the area. We have Amesbury, there's one garden in Salisbury. We have a couple in Newbury and some in Newburyport, because we represent all the Newburys. And the only town we don't have anything in this year is West Newbury, which of course was part of Newbury.
okay.
We're very conscientious about making sure the signs are not misplaced. And if you do find any that are misplaced, please let us know. But I try to get your town moderator to do a decent job putting out signs with his wife, so, you know.
So do you put the signs all over into different roads? Do you have different spaces that you want to put them?
It depends on, we don't put them in front of the houses that are being toured because that kind of gives away the game. We'll do it like in an example would be at the intersection of Hay Street and High Road in that little triangle, so it doesn't block traffic. We'll do some out on, near 95, so if people are traveling and they come in through the industrial park, they'll see that.
And is this something that you do all the time? Have you done it like this every year?
I mean, maybe just a couple of things, because the signs that you'll put around town, Martha and I will maybe tip you off to a few things that you might
Love
need to
have
be
the help.
aware of. But for folks that might not know exactly what this is, in your narrative, you kind of describe the Museum of Old Newbury preserves and interprets the history of Old Newbury, including Newbury, Newburyport, West Newbury, from pre-settlement to the present. Founded in 1877, the museum carries out its mission through the preservation and administration of the Cushing House, the Perkins engraving plant, which I don't even know what that is.
That is
And-
behind the building, it's, you can only see it from Fruit Street. Used to belong to Jimmy Lagoulas,
Okay,
and it is the original place that paper money was printed in this country.
no kidding.
Wow.
And we were, through Mr. Lagoulas and a nice deal, and one of the banks, we were able to obtain the building. And we actually got a printing press given to us that's the right period.
Wow. I
So
like to
we
have
had
those,
time.
I like to have those original printing plates.
Yeah, didn't we all? But we're trying to, our next thing is to get, of course, heat, and we have electricity, but we need heat, we need climate control, and we need, obviously, we'll need an alarm system. So we're gradually working on that, but that is part of our,
So it's, I'll be
No
missing, I mean, you
kidding.
guys are, it's
Kudos to
great.
you. Kudos to you.
thank you, we've worked very hard on it.
And really quickly, the other historic structures on High Street campus and furthers its purpose through lectures, exhibitions, educational programs, publications, and research.
Right.
And probably we'll see very much in the next thing that, so Martha, can you kind of speak to Margaret a little bit about the signs, the
Yeah, because I
road
got the
signs?
next thing. I have one question on the road signs, I don't know which one of you can answer. On the next one, on the
Point
next
it.
event, it's for the whole month. It starts July 2nd and goes through the 29th. It's a showcase house, it's 284 Water
I
Street.
read that, yep.
But the person who was the chair of the event asked me, can the signs be left up that long? And if not, is there any reason that if it's on private property, they can't be left up that long?
And Margaret, can we ask something in Martha, just to temper what she, are these like political signs that stick in with white?
Yeah.
Yep, they're about
Okay.
12 by 18.
Okay, and is there anything that we should know? We have a sign bylaw in our town,
Yes.
so that's why.
Yep, so,
Margaret, thanks so much,
thank you.
and thank you for all you do.
Well, we tried.
Yeah, basically that would fit into the category of temporary signs, which are allowed under our sign bylaw. As you probably know, they need to be 10 feet back from the traveled way.
Yeah.
They fit within the size requirements. The only thing I see about time frame is that they have to be removed within 14 days after the conclusion of the event or events. So I didn't see anything in there about,
Before,
You know, I would hate to clutter up
During.
everything for the whole month.
right.
Where I know on the backstop, we can't keep it up.
Right,
Because
that's a
they'll-
2-week.
You know,
That's a
and
2-week
that's fine.
limit.
But if you would prefer, we can remove the ones that are on public property after the 2-week period. And then, in conjunction with the backstop, remove them, all of them from private property. Would that be more agreeable?
Martha, did you say that the 14 days was leaving them up after the event?
After the event, they have
So-
to come
Okay.
down within
Yeah.
14 days after.
So we don't have
Yeah,
a,
good.
we don't have a time
Doesn't say, I mean,
restraint?
temporary signs can include construction signs, which would
Right.
be up for the entire construction period, or real estate signs, or political signs, which can be up for, so I think this falls into that same category.
So-
Well, we'll try and
Okay.
get on to you about seeing that they're not. Okay?
Well, what I believe Martha's saying is like you may leave them up for that whole month and just take them down within
Because
2
I
weeks
know
afterwards.
this is a long period of time, and
Yep.
it's a new event to the area. And hopefully, it'll pay for the roof we just had to put on.
All right.
$64,000 roof.
Well, let's make it, let's do a motion on your first request. Is there a motion on the first request?
Motion to approve?
Second motion.
Is there any discussion, any questions for Margaret? All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, your second request, to which the last of that conversation was relevant, is a request for public property use for Margaret Gillis of the Museum of Old Newbury to place a banner on the upper green backstop and road signs throughout the town of Newbury from June 24th through July 11th, 2016 for the Museum of Old Newbury Designer Show fundraiser at 284 Water Street to be held July 2nd and July 29th. Do we have a restriction, the signs are fine, Martha or Ellen, do we have a restriction on the length of time for the banners?
Yes, it's
2 weeks.
That's the 2 weeks.
We were aware of that when I spoke with Alan.
All right, and does that fall within 2 weeks, looking at that fast? It does. Oh, so we're good. So, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Yeah, second it. Can we
Is there
discuss it?
discussion?
Yeah. I noticed there are other requests for banners. Are these small enough that other people can put banners up there also?
They're not up at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't seem to,
All right.
as of yet, they don't conflict.
Yeah, but there could be
Is there
others.
a
I was just
size
curious.
restriction
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
On the banner, what size is the restriction, do you know, Alan? Take my tape.
But we've had 2 of them up before
Yeah, yeah.
on the backstop, so.
The
one for Okay.
the Coral Society is 30 inches high by 8 feet long,
Okay.
so.
Okay, that gives me a rough idea.
All right.
Any other discussion? Anyone? Questions? Do you want to explain a little bit about what that is for the idea of people on television hearing it?
The
You have to go up there, that's the only thing.
Decorated Show House it's a house that originally had a demolition delay put on it by Newburyport. And the owners, with a little persuasion, decided to let us use it. They hired Andrew Sidford for an architect, and they have renovated this early 1800s house very nicely. They put on some additions, they've taken down some objectionable things. And what you do in a decorated show house is you get, you send out letters to various interior designers to put in a package. They come and they tour the blank building, and they put in a package of a request for whatever room they have a field for. Then they send their packet with samples, paints, display items, whatever they want to do to the museum, and we have a jury group that decides whether they're gonna do what room. And then when it's selected, the decorators spend the money themselves. We don't have any input as financially into this, except to run the event for advertising, police, that type of thing. And as far as traffic, which might be a concern because it's close to Plum Island, we have received permission from the airport for parking, so that hopefully it won't be quite so congested. Because I know that can be a concern down there, because it is the holiday weekend that it opens.
Yeah,
And
so,
we are running a gala on the 1st, on Friday night,
so is it open every day?
yes.
Oh, I'm dying to see it.
$2 for tickets, and it's gonna be quite special. If you go by the house and you look at it face on, you will see they put on a big glass addition on the right-hand backside. It's beautiful.
All right.
Wow.
Did-
Urban and Sears own the house, and they've been very generous.
Can you
Do the
go,
owners get to kind of say if they like the color?
Well, the decorators spend all this money, some of them spend $10,000-$15,000 to do one room.
Yeah.
And they consider it to be advertising.
yeah, they come in, they take pictures, they put it in magazines and stuff, right?
Yeah, but they sell a lot of their business, plus they might sell an item from the home.
Yeah. Can you buy tickets online? Is there an online?
Yep, on the website, on the
What's the website?
newburyhistory.org.
newberryhistory.org.
Well, we've had 2 great speakers already tonight, so if, I'd entertain a motion on the second request.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Is there a second? All those, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
You welcome, Margaret.
Hope you can all make it.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm coming.
Thank you. Yes.
Excuse me, just so I know, they're able to leave their road signs up for the whole time, correct?
Yep.
Thank you for that clarification. We'll return on the guidance to again. Because then Newburyport's policy is just.
Requests for public property use Joanne L. Johnson, President of the Newburyport Choral Society, place a banner on the Upper Green backstop from April 8th through April 25th, 2016, 2 weeks, for the Newburyport Choral Society concert to be held April 23rd and 24th, 2016. Joanne?
Joanne Surrogate.
Yeah, Martha?
So, yeah, it will be the same size banner as before, 30 inches high, 8 feet long.
How many years is this? Quite a few, right?
Oh, yeah, quite a
Yeah,
few.
yeah.
And the Choral Society just celebrated its 80th birthday last year, so.
So, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a
Second.
second? Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Do you want to say more about it, Martha?
Well, I encourage you all to come. It's an all Beethoven program this time.
It's a what?
All Beethoven.
You've heard
this
of him,
time.
right?
Have you heard of him?
Yeah, isn't it on a country music station?
Yeah.
What time is, what time, do you know what time the event?
Yeah, the one on Saturday, the 23rd, is at 8 o'clock, and the one on Sunday is, they've moved it a little later this year. It's going to be at 4 instead of 2:30.
And where is it located?
It's at the Belleville Church,
Oh, that's right.
and tickets are available, they're not yet, but they'll be available online and at certain outlets. And,
What's the website, do you know?
I should know.
That's okay.
But if you just Google
Didn't give you-
Newburyport
Newburyport
Choral Society.
Yep, Newburyport Choral
That'll get you
Society.
there. That'll get you there.
Buy tickets and listen to some fabulous Beethoven music.
That's right.
Thank you.
All right. As long as it's Willie Nelson, I'm there.
We vote on that?
We have another request for public property use. Stan Dixon, Mustard Chair, American Hand Fire Engine Society, Inc., Old Fashioned Fireman's Muster at the Upper Green on Saturday, July 30th, 2016, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Is Stan here? JR, you can talk about it, right?
I'm going to abstain from this decision. I can
you're
talk
gonna-
about the event a little bit.
Why don't you, can you go up the microphone? Oh, you got one. You don't have to go. You're good. Tell them who you are and why you're part of it and everything else.
I'm a member of the American Hand Fire Engine Society, who runs the Fire Museum here in Newbury. This is for a muster on the green. It's a long-standing New England tradition, probably over the last 150 years or even a few more. And we're fortunate that we have a facility here set up for old-fashioned firemen's musters. And I encourage everyone to come and check it out.
And these are the hand tubs that,
Yep.
and you'll have.
It's all hand power. There's
Yep.
crews, many people as you can get on and pump away.
Yep.
Everyone has 15 minutes to do their business. You can take as many or as few attempts as you want. A lot of strategy goes into it. Everyone has their flags
You
put
mean the
up.
height and the wind?
Oh,
I mean, if it's really windy, it's hard.
Absolutely. Every team has their own flags and things that they put up, so you're watching for crosswinds and different conditions and
What's the object of it?
distance.
Length.
It's a 300-foot course. It's a paper course, red rosin paper. There are
Don't we have
judges.
One of the only places set up this well in town?
In New England.
In New England.
It's the only place that I know of that has a pumping platform built into the green.
Furthest drop the size of a dime, if I
Yep,
remember right?
you're right.
Okay.
You're right.
All right.
There are league judges that are supposed to be impartial. So it's a good time. It's really an old New England tradition. You know, whether it'll last in the long term for the next 100 years, I don't know, but it was really big in the past when there weren't so many distractions in life, like, you know, television and the internet and all the other crazy things we get bombarded with now, so.
Yeah.
And in the old days, this is all they had to put fires out with, so it's quite a look back in.
And they were
history.
always ready.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
So we have a motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any other discussion from anyone? All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi. I do have a question. Is this a free event, JR?
It is.
Thank you.
Mr. Fatino, how you doing? Peter Fatino, Chair of the Fish Commission. We have a state funding for green crab trapping, which is, you know, Peter's going to explain, but the European green crab is one of the most prolific invasives we have in our estuaries, and it is, I can remember as a kid, there used to be a lot of blue mussels. I can't find a blue mussel left in the Parker River. There's striped mussels, I can't find a blue mussel. They eat them first. They're all over the place.
Well, I'm Peter Fatino, Chairman of the Fish Commission, and there's grant money out there right now from the state, from the Division of Marine Fisheries, that we can use to trap these crabs. And we had kind of like a two-pronged thing where we tried to target, say, clammers that are really relying on clamming for their livelihood and getting them to do some of this trapping. So there's $15,000 out there. We spoke with Shellfish Warden in Ipswich, the biologists for the state, some of the trappers, and some of the clammers. And we have 4 clammers right now that are interested in it. That money, $15,000, lasts until the end of June, I think, Ellen, right? And so we have a proposal that we buy traps. The town owns the traps, paid for with that grant money. And then we can pay 40 cents a pound for the green crabs that are trapped. And then they'll be sold by the trappers also. There's a couple of different people that will buy them at 40 cents a pound. So they can make 80 cents a pound on the crabs. They're interested in my proposal we put in for 75 traps, but since then I've been talking with Kelly Whitmore actually this afternoon, and she said buy all the traps you want. It's a very short season. We're not going to be able to buy very many crabs between now and the end of June. When I talked with the fellows in Ipswich and the trappers, they said last year in September is when they really hit the crabs.
It's cold
hard.
right now. Yeah, they're not
So
moving.
we could spend all that money on traps if we wanted to. And the other thing that we asked, if it was possible, we could use some of the money to pay for the oversight and implementation of this program. And at first she said, well, the Shellfish Warden, we see it as a continuation of their duties. And I said, yeah, but if he has to dispose of crabs, he may have to go to Appleton Farms in Ipswich, and he's not gonna leave them in the back of his truck all week. He's almost gonna have to go daily in the summer. So they came back, they checked with the CFO and said that we could. And so that some of the money can go to Shellfish Warden for keeping the records on this and disposing of the crabs if we have to do that. And so we recommend that the Shellfish Warden run this program, and we recommend, I think we should buy 80 traps. I have 75 written there, but now I have 4 people that are interested, so that'll give them 20 traps apiece. That's all the gear. It's $70 a trap. There's lines, buoys, and a trap. They will be responsible for maintaining the traps, the trappers will, storing the traps, but they will be owned by the town. So if they're not using these traps, the town has the right to take them away and give them to somebody that will. They have to get a letter of authorization from the state, and we have to have a contract drawn up with the trappers, the town does. And you also have to have a contract with the state. So in my recommendations to you, we're not a lawyer, we're not gonna write up a contract, but there's certain things we think that maybe you should include in the contract with the trappers. And I just got an email from, again, Kelly Whitmore in the DMF. And she wrote into it as far as us recovering money for the Shellfish Warden. In other words, we could pay the Shellfish Warden for his time. It has to be documented. And she has made a change to the original emails that she sent, and that's included in it. And I sent you, Ellen, that email so that you would have it on your computer. And I had asked Leslie to print out the changes, and I have those. I'll give those to you. Then you can add them to that, to the program that you probably have in your packet. And I can go real quick. Water tests, we have a year's worth of water tests from DMF for the Parker River. Looks pretty good. They did their first test in January upriver so that we can open those flats upriver by the railroad bridge. Tested it in January, it came back clean. They have to do more tests. And I'm very optimistic that we are going to be able to open up the moderately contaminated flats. I think we have passed all the hurdles. I think Chairman Walker and Tracy and the Chief of Police all got together and helped us get through this last hurdle. I think we're all set. I'm optimistic, and we'll see what happens shortly on that.
Good.
So,
Peter, real quick question. From the material I have in the packet that probably came from DMF, is there a profile for a contract? Are we gonna have to put the contract
For the
together
trappers?
ourselves?
For the trapper?
Yeah,
Yes.
all right. Does DMF have a mock-up contract?
I asked her, she didn't, because it's between,
Yep.
like Ipswich and the trapper, so
Yep.
they're not involved in that at all.
See if you can ask what's his name if they have
I
a
will, that's
example.
Scott.
Scotty, see
I
if you can
will.
ask Scotty.
And have him email me one,
Yeah,
that'd be
I
good.
mean, what Peter is also, just for a little more information on it, this is, like I said, the European green crab that was introduced. There's actually two clades, it's called. We have a clade that came from Greenland. That's the one that's in Maine. They're very, very, very resistant to cold water, and they've totally decimated Canada and Maine shellfishing industry. The clade that we have came out of New Jersey. They're a little less resistant to cold water, but they're becoming more resistant to cold water, and the clade from Maine is working this way. So we really have a predicament because there's a tremendous amount of them. This is some of the stuff that we've worked on in the Sandy grant. We've done a lot of the information gathering for some of the, Bruce Tar was behind this, once again. Anything to do with the water, Bruce is great. Bruce was one of the main people to be able to procure this money. The idea of it is any relief from the numbers of green crabs, and when they breed, the numbers of eggs are in the tens of thousands. So any relief that the trappers can have, and if it can provide somewhat of a fisherman's industry, a clammer's industry, and if it makes the water work better, and also provides relief to our shellfishing, that was the idea of this. So I think it's the third year or the second year?
I think it's,
Third year, maybe, and
for us, it will be the first.
be the first. It's the second year, because, Ipswich was one of the towns that took advantage of it most intently last year, and they really caught a lot of crab. And there was
Do
probably
they?
2 or 3 guys doing it, and they were very proficient.
Do they have a model contract we could see, or?
That's what we
I
just
haven't-
asked.
Oh,
Maybe
that
we
big
can
end
get
of
it.
I will,
Yeah.
I asked the state for one, and they said, it's between the town and the trapper, but I will, I
Talk
touch
to
base with
Ipswich.
Scott over in
Yeah.
Ipswich, and I
Okay.
will again, and see what I can get from
What do
him.
they sell? How much of the green crab, like, what do they do with green crab?
Bait. They
Ah.
use it for tautog down in Rhode Island, and they pay 40 cents a pound, so even if they're not buying, which the last couple of years, the guys in Ipswich told me that they have not disposed of any crabs. They've been able to sell their total catch. So even if the state funds run out, the trappers can still make 40 cents a pound selling to the bait dealers.
What are they baiting?
Tautog.
It's a fish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fish with teeth that taste like lobster.
Yeah,
Um,
we don't have them here that much, so it's,
But there are some, though.
yeah, they're,
Yes, and I'll tell you, I used to catch them, and they're great, but I sounded like Donald Trump then. The thing that's also very important as this moves forward is, until the blue crab probably works its way up here from Maryland, these crabs are here to stay, and they're really, really very destructive, John, very destructive, not only to shellfish, but they burrow into the side of the marsh bankings, and they can cause erosion. This is a tough predator. I can remember being down there in the evening once and looking out and seeing, like, just, I mean, if you've ever been beside a trap with 500 green crab in it, it's a noise you'll never forget. So it's pretty wild. All right, so is there a motion and then maybe a second and any other questions?
Is
Motion
this
to approve.
second?
And the motion would probably be to design the contract.
right, by your next meeting, we should be
Yeah.
able to dot all the i's, cross all the
Yeah.
t's, and move forward with this.
If you can go to Scotty and see what they got, we can certainly modify it. So any other discussion from anyone? All
Do
those in
you
favor?
need do you need a number, 80 traps? Does he need that number now?
That's gonna come out of that grant money. So right now, we have 4 people interested. I would say 80's a good number for us.
Yeah.
We need to put that in the motion?
Well, we can
Leave
put,
that up
it
to
can
the-
be in the motion, but it can also be in the
I'll be back at your
contract.
next meeting probably too. We'll finalize everything then.
Are you getting
Okay.
the traps at Green Lanterns?
Green Lantern,
Yeah.
right, they priced them at $70
Yeah.
a trap with all the gear.
Yeah, and the rope and the
Right.
float.
Floats, everything.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
And I think that Peter should be commended. We
We
now
commend you.
have the full-time shellfish warden. and it seems like we're starting to move in a very positive direction.
Yeah, we can only hope, right?
Yeah,
I think
so
we jumped all the hurdles and we're good to go.
we're gonna have green crab, contaminated flats, we'll probably have seeding grants, it's pretty wild all of
Yeah.
a sudden,
I hope so.
so.
Thank you.
Thanks,
It'll be
Peter.
like Gloucester pretty soon. Thank you.
We need to review, approve, and sign a 2016 business license renewal, and it's Paula Garan, and it is Seascape Therapeutic Counseling and Consulting at 19 Central Street, second floor in Byfield, General Health and Wellness. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Michael, can you see if Tracy wants to do a town administrator's report tonight? Yep. Appointment of election workers for 2016 elections terms, February 23rd, 2016 through 12/31, 2016. And we have Matthew Kaminsky, Robert Locke, Kathy Sperling, Diane White, Barbara Whitmore. Do we have a motion to appoint?
Motion to approve all.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Why don't we vote to set the May 10th, 2016 election time from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And then we'll come back to the conservation restriction on 18 Marsh Ave on Plum Island. And Tracy, do you have a town administrator's report?
Yes, update on budget preparation. It's been all budget, all day, all night, all weekend.
You were here both days, all this weekend.
Yeah, we've been trying to get it together as quickly as possible where the timeline has been shortened by a month. So the original schedule that I had sent out early in the process is going to be changing. I've had some conversations with Eric about his presentation. We're looking at potentially moving that to March 22nd. And the joint meeting with the FinCom, I would request that the Board of Selectmen hold a special Selectmen's meeting on April 5th, if that's a possibility, that we could shift to that date, and the warrant would have to be posted by April 11th. So the timelines are very close for this year. Just a brief update on the Plum Island Study Committee. We've been, Jeff and Martha have been attending some of the meetings, and John, Lucy, and myself, some of them as well. The only issues that I see impacting this budget cycle include the dog waste stations and the dumpster proposal, and the Board of Health has asked that that be included in their budget request this year, so I did incorporate that into the preliminary budget.
Tracy, I did send a note to Peter Erickson to maybe try to wrap things up kind of quickly so we can move forward in case there are other budget impacts.
I think they are discussing other things, lighting. I'm trying to think what else. Porta potties, at the last meeting, they talked about the businesses covering those costs. So there may be some other items that would have budgetary impact. The parking preliminary information will be provided on March 3rd at 7 p.m. It's been billed as Olga Way. It's not just Olga Way. It's the comprehensive plan for metering the kiosks. There'll be someone there from Parkeon to show you and do a demonstration of what the meters would look like. Tony Komornick will be there from MVPC to talk about the study that they had done and address any traffic issues. The police chief will be available to address any issues.
Where's that hearing?
That's going to be here.
Yeah.
Yep, that'll be here.
Is that a full
The,
selectmen's meeting? Mm-hmm. Okay. You probably said that and I was asleep, right? No?
maybe
Yeah.
last
I
week.
missed it too, so.
Yeah, that's posted as a Board of Selectmen's meeting. I sent all of you the management letter from Municipal Resources, Inc. After you've had a chance to read it, there are some items that would appear on this
warrant if you want to move forward with them. So I'll put them on the draft warrant, and then as we go through the budget items, you can give it thumbs up or thumbs down. I did want to mention too, that both Bernie Field and Brian Lombara came out to assist the fire department in that tragic fire on Newbury Neck Road. So they did that on their own time. They just got a quick phone call, and they said, sure, we'll be right out to help, keeping the roadways sanded to and from the house so people didn't have any slips and falls. So we're really grateful that they would help out. Everyone seems to be working very cooperatively. All the departments, it's becoming
They're a great
very
crew.
cohesive. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they really are.
People don't realize just how slippery a fire scene gets when it's that cold.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. So, trailer update. We have 4 months left. I did get some preliminary pricing for leased space in town. We're looking at, most of the quotes were relatively close, but we're looking at annual leasing payments of about $175,000 a year. That does not include utilities, which could run another $16,000 a year.
Now, that's just town hall.
That's town hall. That's just town hall.
Just town hall.
Yep. That's all of the offices, the trailer facilities, and bringing our records into one central location. And that also doesn't include logistics to move and set up all of the networking. So in all likelihood, you could see a special article request in the magnitude of, $250,000. So just to keep you apprised of that.
Any other good news?
No, that's all I have.
Thanks, Trace.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Tracy, very much. Back to the agenda. We have a vote to sign a conservation restriction. It's been through the Conservation Commission itself, and it has been approved and signed by them. It is for 18 Marsh Ave. Chris Lapointe, I imagine that's you, and he's going to speak to us a little bit about it. If I'm not mistaken, this is the house on Plum Island, right? No? Where are we?
Marsh Avenue.
Over by Newbury Neck, right?
Over Newbury Neck? Where are we then?
Marsh Avenue off of Newbury Neck Road.
Okay,
It's right next to Fred Barrow's
okay,
property.
okay.
I apologize to the audience.
Now I can see it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Chris Lapointe. I'm the Director of Land Conservation with Essex County Greenbelt. And as you note, we're here to talk about a conservation restriction over the Stichter property, land owned by Sharon and Joseph Stichter on Marsh Avenue. They own an approximately 9-acre property, including their existing house, and they are interested in donating a conservation restriction to Greenbelt. We're certainly grateful for their generosity. It's a property that is bounded on two sides by the refuge. It's a beautiful open hayfield, excellent bird habitat. It is cut for hay annually. And we're extremely grateful that the landowners have been excellent stewards of that property, and we're glad to accept the restriction. As you note, the Conservation Commission reviewed the restriction at their last meeting. They reviewed the conservation values and approved the municipal certification. The next step is, would be glad to answer any questions that you have, but for this board to review and approve and sign the CR. We will then sign it, have the Stichters sign it, and have the secretary sign it prior to recording.
Why don't we make a motion and a second and then discuss it?
Motion to sign the conservation restriction?
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Now, discussion. Did everyone
You
really?
couldn't build on that if you wanted to?
Nope, it's a house lot. It's a single house now. It will be a single house afterwards. So we're not really
Low
extinguishing
enough that it wouldn't,
any residential development, right? It's really, intended to keep the development on the property in the area of the property that's already developed and keep the rest of it the way that it is.
I think that was Chuck's question, right, Chuck? I mean, if we didn't do this, that could be developed?
because of the way Marsh Avenue ends around here, it's unlikely that you could put more than the one house that's there now.
Okay.
You could theoretically demolish this house and put the house in another location on the lot, but it's essentially a single house lot.
I don't-
What- Go ahead.
I don't see any reason we should get in the way of the Stitchers' desire to conserve their land in perpetuity. You know, if they've gone through the right steps, it seems we should support them in their decision.
Any other discussion? What does a conservation restriction do besides what I read? It just saves that piece, like Damon said, should that house of theirs be resold from other uses being, done to the remainder of the lot, right, Chris?
The conservation restriction will be forever. It will run with that land. So as, you know, the land underneath the restriction will be privately owned, will be taxed much the way that it is now. They sell it, the CR goes along with it, but it says what they and future owners can and can't do on it. So they have an unrestricted area where they can do whatever they can by law and by zoning. And they have another area that is subject to the terms of the restriction that they've agreed to, that talks about what they might be able to do with respect to grazing animals, cutting hay, growing crops. Obviously, the majority of the things that we are restricting are things that things like parking areas and landing strips and mining and new buildings and things that are sort of inconsistent with the character of that property. But with this particular piece of land, they have an ample, nearly 2-acre area that is unrestricted, where they could rebuild their existing house, they can replace their wells, they can build new barns. They have all of the rights that they have today. It's really just on the 7 acres of the field.
So what is the impetus for the landowner to do this? Do you buy it from them?
No,
In this case, they're donating it.
they're donating the development rights.
Correct.
To the
Okay.
land, basically. So as far as we're concerned, or as far as the town's concerned, nothing changes. It's still taxed under 61A, just as it has been since the Stichters have owned it.
Right.
It just protects the piece as farmland or open space.
This
And I
is a
think-
property that they've owned for a long time, that they care about, that they have taken care of, and part of what they want to leave as a legacy is knowing that this property will be largely the way that it is forever.
And I think what JR said is important, because sometimes we have so much open space, people feel we're losing a tax base, but
Sure.
that basically remains the same. It shows up through the restriction, so.
That's right.
And the green belt is responsible for making sure that this conservation is observed, or how does the green belt come into this agreement?
So we are responsible forever, as long as we hold the restriction, for monitoring the CR annually. So we will come out and meet with the landowner and walk the property and make sure that they have held to the
Observed it.
terms of that CR.
And what would it take to remove the CR?
Legislation.
Yeah, it would take a 2/3 vote of the legislature under Article 97 of the state constitution.
So it's pretty difficult.
It's as permanent a thing as we have in our system of laws.
Any other questions, guys? All those in favor? Thanks, Chris.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
We have old business. I'll take Mike first before we start to have a long discussion about our coffee clutches. How's that, Mike? Mike's gonna just review Mass General Law, Chapter 140, Paragraph 157, on some of the dog hearing stuff. Is that what we're doing?
At the last Board of Selectmen meeting with the dog hearing, there was a question as to whether the board, as the hearing authority, had the authority to banish a dog from a jurisdiction. And the law says no. However, the question that I had for town council, the law is worded strangely, and I sent a memo A lot of it I pirated from Ginny, so I'll give her full credit. I sent a memo to the board. The way the law is worded, the board or the hearing authority may not issue an order directing that a dog deemed dangerous shall be removed from the town or city in which the owner of the dog resides. The case we had before us 2 weeks ago, the owner of the dog did not reside in Newbury. The owner of the dog was then residing in Beverly. And so my question was, would the hearing authority, the board as the hearing authority, would you have had the authority to tell that owner, you no longer live in Newbury, you have to take your dog with you? And I understand the intent of the law isn't to push our problem onto another town, but if the owner of the animal isn't living in town, why should this town be burdened with that animal if it's a dangerous dog? And Ginny answered my question beforehand, and she feels, and I feel I agree with her because she's the lawyer, that the hearing authority, had you chosen to do that, you did have the authority to do that. But the way things worked out, it seemed like it's working very well. We haven't had any further complaints, so.
Well, so that, the dog owner was supposed to be passing on a home at the end of this month at.
Yes.
In the, because that kind of, it's kind of been sticking in the back of my head about that dog hearing and about, that dog being confined to the home and the dog living next door and the children living in fear and all that happy stuff that went along with it. If for some reason that the sale of that home falls through and that family comes before the board again, we are within our purview to ask him to remove that dog.
I believe as long as the owner does not live in town, you can order that dog be taken
the
by its
owner.
owner.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The only constraints are you can't order a dog removed from the town if the owner lives in this town. But that, before then, the way they wrote that, that was added to the law to prevent exactly what he said. Towns pushing off dangerous dogs onto other towns, but where the owner doesn't even live in Newbury, that provision does not constrain.
Yeah, splitting hairs there. They could give the dog to their parents, you know? I mean, it's,
Well, I mean, that would present a problem as the parents seemed unable to control the dog, so.
yeah.
You know, they were elderly, my understanding is, and that was a large dog, and, certainly I would worry, you know, should anything occur. And this board was aware of the situation
Okay.
with the small children and the history here. It's
Ginny,
not-
can you kind of just maybe, TV can't hear you.
TV.
I was just saying that I think that, you know, this board has a responsibility to the taxpayers as well as the residents of the town of Newbury, knowing the history here and the situation with the small children and the previous incidents and the inability of the elderly parents to restrain this animal. This is, you know, this is a dangerous situation, and should anything fall through with respect to the plan and the leeway that this board granted to the owners to just give them the time to get their new house, I would very much advise this board to not tolerate any delays or, you know, additional courtesies extended to the owners of this dog. They need to get it out of here.
All right. Thanks, Jenny.
Ginny,
Thank you,
before you
Ginny.
sit down, my only question might be, and I read it and I keep reading it, but when it was before us before, do I always read that I see now "or," and it's got a little underline under it? I always thought that chapter 140 about moving a dog to another town and everything else might pertain to a nuisance/dangerous dog or a dangerous dog, but is it also just a nuisance dog?
Yes.
I mean, I get confused between a nuisance dog and a dangerous dog. Do you want this?
Yes.
Because, you know what, I mean, a nuisance dog is a guy that barks, a dangerous dog is a dangerous dog, and I mean, it just doesn't sound right.
What doesn't sound right? You could.
Well, I mean, a nuisance dog could be just noisy.
Right. But what doesn't sound right?
Does chapter 140 and all the things that it pertains to about moving a dog, is it just a nuisance dog, or is it a dangerous dog that can't be moved out of town? Dangerous, so the nuisance dog can be moved out of town if he's just about, you know what?
Yeah,
you can
no,
look- you can
I
look
don't
at
think,
that.
yeah, no, I don't think, if a dog has been determined to be a nuisance, the hearing authority may order that the owner or keeper of the dog take humane remedial action to alleviate the cause of the nuisance behavior. There's a separate set of provisions if the dog is determined to be dangerous.
Right, but what my question was, where the dangerous dog really can't be just shipped out of town,
Right,
does that also pertain to a nuisance dog?
yes. You can't
Same
ship,
That's
you
what I
can't
figured.
ship a nuisance dog out of town either, but as long as, the owner is living here. So basically, you can't issue an order separating
Yep.
a dog from its owner, so that pertains to both of them.
So if we have to get rid of a dog and we get rid of the owner too, and get out of town,
That's funny, my mind was going there too.
No.
seems like
Sorry.
we'd solve a lot of problems.
Sorry.
I mean, I think
Change the
what
tax
happens,
base, though.
Mike, is some of that falls to the dog officer and you. I mean, that definition of a nuisance dog or a dangerous dog, I suppose I'm making too much out of this, but, I mean, I know a lot of dogs that aren't really nuisances, but neighbors could be complaining about them
Yes.
and on and on, and there's certainly a difference between a dangerous dog.
Right, in the last case we had, it was both. They were complaining that the dog was constantly barking, and the barking was a nuisance. And when it's out of its pen,
Could be
it's a
dangerous.
danger to their family. So they were complaining of both things, but you could very well just have an instance where somebody lodges a complaint, my neighbor's dog constantly barks and it's a nuisance. And the board as the hearing authority, you can, if you find after an investigation, whether you order the animal control officer, or the police, or whoever to investigate the complaints, or by hearing testimony, and you determine that the dog's a nuisance, you can take whatever remedial action, you can order whatever remedial action for the owners that's humane. Bark, collar, or however, keep
And
the
we
dog.
still
in-
can't ship that dog out of town, I guess, yeah.
Not to my
Those
understanding.
little yappers have to stay.
Jesus, so the chihuahuas can't go either, so.
The normal course is somebody either complains that the dog is a nuisance or it's a danger. In this last case, they felt it was both, so that's why we came forward with both.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you so much, Mike. Any citizens' concerns?
Wait a minute, we gotta talk about our coffee clutch.
Oh, gosh, I forgot. All right,
We went over that on purpose.
David, you want to take that? You started it.
Well,
Explain what it is.
yes, for those of you who don't know, we've been holding a coffee hour on Saturday, the first Saturday of each month, as an opportunity to make ourselves available to the citizens. And we've been providing coffee. I provided donuts
I
because I,
didn't think
screwed
they
up.
needed sugar.
Didn't want to give them more energy. But it was a way, since all of us have other jobs and are not always around and easy, we don't have an office, it was a way for people to come and talk to us, share concerns. A lot of people came to mine. I know that JR only had one person show up to his, and we have to decide now, since we've all had our opportunity to do this, whether or not we want to continue this as a tradition or say, was an idea and it was not a good idea. So,
How many came to yours, Jeff?
3 or 4.
I had over a dozen.
Well, aren't you just popular?
I bought munchkins, that's why.
yeah, the bigger the piece of
Next time
sugar.
we're bringing an espresso machine, and cappuccino.
I would like to do that next Saturday.
Oh, you have yours next Saturday?
Here's next
So
Saturday.
if it's okay with the board,
Yeah.
let's just
Well, that's-
extend it one more.
No, you have to run the cycle anyway. You haven't
Yeah.
done yours yet.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So,
Um,
And then,
we're talking about future.
yeah, do we
then
want to
I'll have a
continue?
better grasp on whether I should vote for or against.
Well, should we table this discussion till the next meeting, since you haven't had yours yet, Chuck?
Yeah.
We can do that.
Okay. 9 o'clock, right?
Yep.
9, yep.
Okay.
And we gotta get it in the paper.
Did everyone hear that about Chuck?
Chuck's gonna be here at 9 a.m. on Saturday.
The
not
10th.
this-
I shall.
All right. So, table, do we have to make a motion? Motion to table?
yeah, I'll make motion to table this discussion until after Chuck's coffee hour.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Citizens' concerns, is there any? Yes.
Yes.
Is it Darcy?
It is.
How are you?
I'm Darcy Johnson from 9 Olga Way. I just wanted to ask if the board received, we had submitted our concerns about the Olga Way parking for your review before next week, and we just wanted to make sure that you all had an opportunity to review that.
I have.
That's all.
At least-
Thank you.
Yep.
We did. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darcy. Correspondence. We have a letter from the Ipswich River Watershed Association. It is a new organization that Wayne's putting together. He's gonna call it PI, which is Parker Ipswich and Essex Rivers Municipal Service Program. I'll read it really quickly. I don't think he's asking us for anything right at this point, and John's here. He might want to talk about it a little bit. It is written by Wayne, the letter. He is writing to introduce himself. He is writing to introduce Ipswich River Watershed, which is an organization that has stood for a lot of years, and it pertains to protecting the Ipswich watershed as a river. What his mission is, let me see if I can pull it. The primary purpose of this program is to provide towns with tools, services, and help that make compliance infrastructure improvements and environmental stewardship cheaper and easier. And he's talking about making it a larger watershed, a watershed that would include the Parker, Ipswich, and Essex River. We also have an Essex River. Sometimes we don't think about it, but it's a very beautiful river, sand dollars in the whole 5 yards. The programs that could be offered in this partnership are Municipal Services Program, which is work to understand and comply with existing new and water-related regulatory requirements, scope, fund, and implement projects that address both municipal and Pie Rivers priority status, technical service outreach, Water Management Act, dam safety and maintenance, road stream crossing standards, MS4 compliance, which John is working on now, climate resiliency planning, which this Christine Grubbs out of the Sandy grant had already worked on or is working on anyway, floater barrier assessment, which is dams, bridges, and culverts, low impact development, and municipal property, which are houses that use little or no, very little electricity and use little water, assistance and support with assessing and understanding funding opportunities, technical review of new developing and other projects, and advocacy for local and statewide regulations desired by towns. John, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, just a couple of things, very briefly. I see this as a potential good thing relative to stormwater. It's a major pain in the neck for every community that has to deal with it, this MS4 program. The flip side is if we work together, for example, we were fortunate enough to work a deal with Newburyport where they're doing our E. coli testing and we are doing their public education. Works out well for both of us. I go to various workshops and seminars, and quite honestly, I can't hear a damn thing that's said there. I have no idea. We went to one a few days ago and had to ask Martha on the way home, what did they say? Okay. But it's an opportunity to network with people from other towns with similar problems, similar interests. And I think it's very valuable to be able to perceive somebody that can help us and figure out what we can do to help them and let the two hands wash each other. So I'm looking forward to, from the MS4 standpoint, I don't know what else there is in that list of goodies that were mentioned that would be a particularly good thing for us, but I think we have benefited from the Stormwater Collaborative that Merrimack Valley has put together, and I think that we can get the same thing. And, you know, the really good news, it's free, you know.
Thank you.
I have a question. How come the city of Hamilton is not part of this watershed?
Meaning because it touches the Ipswich River?
Oh, yeah, Essex is part of it.
Well, that's
John, did you see that, how it's, Hamilton is here?
Oh.
So see how it's Newbury, Raleigh, Ipswich, and then Essex? What?
Essex and everything else in here is the Ipswich River. The Ipswich River is huge.
Oh, okay, so these
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
all these towns?
Yeah,
Oh, I
this-
thought they were excluding all these towns.
No. These
Okay.
are, the white is the town, are the towns that are in the Ipswich River
Ipswich River
watershed.
watershed.
That's Essex, and this is us,
Ah,
Yep.
thank you.
okay? And that's not a new organization.
No.
PIE, High Rivers, has been around for several years, at least as long as I've been involved in stormwater, they have been an entity. So,
All right, thanks, John. We have a notification from Parker River Clean Water Association for their annual meeting, which is Sunday, March 6, 2016. It is at 1 PM and is at the Newbury Library, Lunch Street, Byfield. Does anyone want to add anything to it? The annual meeting always is, has a lot of, you usually go, I usually have to speak.
I'll add one quick thing.
Go ahead.
I think an albino snapping turtle's gonna make an appearance at this one, so that'll be real rare to
A
see.
little one.
So that's one and how many?
I forget what the statistics are. It was mind-boggling.
Yeah, wow.
Albino snap.
Yeah, they always have a very good speaker or two who bring some spectacular things to the town.
I'll tell you, our rivers, like John just said, our rivers are spectacular. And the work I've done in the rivers, I've been blessed to see otters. I can remember walking down a trail and right at me with the kids right behind. I didn't know what to do. I can remember being up by the rock that splits Little River and the Parker River. And Peter and I, maybe the guy knew we were eating lobster. Peter had made some lobster. We were out doing our marsh work and we had some lobster sandwiches. I looked down and I thought it was a snapping turtle. I figured it was a big one. And it was a big leatherback with the big fins, sea turtle. Come right up under the boat, right up under my feet and went back down, like this big. I said, wow. So if you have a chance to access our rivers, even if you want to walk the edges, but if you can get out in canoes or do anything possible by boats, Jim, you're out in the boat all the time. I mean, it's just amazing. We have all kinds of eagles. I think we have some eagles now that are nesting near, have you got nesting eagles near riverfront?
The other day, last Thursday.
I guess those big pine trees have eagles now. So, I mean, it's an amazing area that we do live in, and we're great to be stewards of it, so. Review of the minutes, February 9th of 2016.
Motion to approve is read.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to sign warrants? Do we have warrants?
So moved.
Second.
Do we ever not have warrants? All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there any meeting updates? Hearing and seeing none, we do have executive session tonight, and we're gonna, which obviously is discuss strategy with respect to pending litigation because of an open meeting and may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of this body. So, we will not meet, we will not
Yeah.
convene after this meeting, so.
I move we enter into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to pending litigation because an open meeting may have detrimental effect. You just said all this on the litigation position of the body. We'll take a roll call vote and the meeting will not reconvene at the conclusion of executive session. Chairman Walker,
Jeff Walker, yes?
Selectman Bear,
Chuck Bear, yes.
Selectman Jesperson, yes. Selectman Colby,
Yes.
Selectwoman Greco.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Thank you for coming.